me now to further discuss is Scottie Hughes, a Republican political strategist. Good morning, Scottie. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Marky. Thank you for having me.
For starters, how do you think, I know you don't have a crystal ball, but let's look into one, shall we? How do you think this second week of a potential Trump indictment is going to play out? Are we going to get one or not?
Well, with every day that goes by without a Trump indictment or a picture of Trump in handcuffs, it looks less and less likely that Alvin Bragg is going to be able to pull this off. Listen, he has to sell his case to 16 of the 23 grand jurors that Trump was guilty of a crime. Therefore, he must be arrested and indicted and held accountable. But the fact is that we obviously are having a problem. Alvin's having a problem doing this, because if he could, he would have done this a week ago, which I think was up to why President Trump put this out. Because so often we find that people behind the scenes, these things go out, Trump would have been arrested, and then it would have come out that there was nothing there when the spotlight was shined on it. What Trump did a week ago was put the spotlight on this case, knowing that this was Alvin Bragg's goal to do. And now that there's so many people looking at it, they're realizing that he has to go by the book, and he's having a hard time selling his case as it's continuing to fall apart that Trump actually did anything wrong in this situation.
And Scottie, this morning, former acting White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney was on Morning in America, our morning program. Let's take a listen first, and then I want your take.
Do you believe the former president is guilty?
I have no idea, and I don't think most people do anyway. But keep in mind, if he's guilty of what they're supposedly charging with in Manhattan, it's a low-level misdemeanor married to a campaign finance issue. I think only John Edwards, to my knowledge, has ever been charged with this. Senator John Edwards 20 years ago, and nobody's ever been convicted of it. So it is an unusual sort of combination of things to charge a former president of the United States.
Yeah, so Scottie, your thoughts on that, and if he does get indicted, do Trump supporters care?
Well, that is what is interesting about this. Every single Republican right now are having to think how they handle this. The words they say have to be very, very careful, because at this point, you're looking at a man that is still the leader of the party and presumed to be the nominee in 2024. So you are talking about Donald Trump, who still holds all the cards, all the power within the Republican Party. When it comes to his supporters, whether he's indicted or not, they're going to see this as being, once again, just the deep state, all of the people who hate Trump, that, as Trump has said, they're not coming after me, they're coming after you. And Trump has very consecutively sold that line to his supporters, and they are the most loyal fan base. And every Republican knows that if you go up against Trump, and there has not been a single one yet that has not come out bloodied or absolutely has killed their political career. So at this case, no. And that is for any of these contenders that are going up against President Trump in 2024. They're having to make sure that they have to go, okay, could I win if I make the Trump supporters angry, even if I win the nomination? And the easy answer to that is no, they cannot.
Yeah, you bring me to my next point. I was curious your thoughts on what you think is going on in DeSantis's head right now. Obviously he hasn't announced yet. That seems to be looming. But Trump is obviously his biggest rival, and DeSantis is obviously Trump's biggest rival. Do you think he's hoping for an indictment against the former president, or would that kind of steal his thunder, if you will?
Well, at this point, you cannot, anybody looking at this can say that this definitely put a hold on any DeSantis momentum that seemed to be gathering. Obviously, people are starting to bring up his foreign policy. People are looking at those around him. DeSantis was on this upward hill of gaining momentum and chipping away at the Trump base. This has put a temporary hold on it. But the key to all of this is Ron DeSantis is young. He is looking at this going, why do I want to get into this bloody battle with Trump? Because I know, like I said, if DeSantis wins the nomination, he cannot win unless he brings over that base. And Trump supporters are so fiercely loyal to Donald Trump right now. They don't like anybody talking bad or anything negative about their men. So it's going to be hard to bring them over in the end. So at this point, I'm thinking DeSantis is going, maybe I should just wait till 2028 when I don't have to worry about going up against this man.
Yeah, and even campaign fundraising. I know in the 3 days after Trump announced on Truth that he was going to be arrested, his campaign raised $1.5 million. So anyway, this has all been interesting. We'll see what comes of this in this second week. Scottie Hughes, thank you. Good to see you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.